Hey guys, this video is for a practice for checkpoint 3. So get out a piece of paper, write down these problems, do them along with me, and then you can use this as your notes when you take your actual checkpoint right after this video. So number 1, it's going to ask you to simplify this type of problem right here. So we have the same base of 5, but different exponents, and they're being divided. So you want to use that quotient rule. So when two things with the same base are being divided, we are going to subtract the exponents. So it's going to look something like this. 5 to the, I have to subtract 7/10 minus 1/5. Well, they didn't give us common denominators, so we have to do a little bit of work here, but not too bad. I'm going to change 1/5 into tenths so that I have a common denominator. So 1/5 is the same as 2/10. So 7/10 minus 2/10 would be 5/10. So I have 5 to the 5/10. Maybe you recognize that 5/10 could be reduced to 1/2. So that would be how I simplify that problem. It's really handy to make sure you have all of your exponent rules written down so you can refer to them. Number 2, we're rewriting all of this. Again, when you first look at it, that looks really complicated. But what you need to do is just take it one step at a time. Forget about the parentheses and the other exponent out there. So looking inside the parentheses, it's just the same as what we just did on this problem up here. I have the quotient, and I'm going to subtract the exponents. So I'm only going to focus on that part for just a second. So 5 to the 3/4 minus 3/8. Again, I don't have a common denominator, so I'm going to have to get a common denominator. I'm going to turn the 3/4 into eighths. So 6/8 minus 3/8. So I get 5 to the 3/8. Now remember, that was just what was inside the parentheses. So now I'm going to take that, 5 to the 3/8, and put it back inside the parentheses and raise it to the 2/9 power. So another exponent rule, raising a power to a power, I'm going to multiply those exponents. So this is going to be 5 to the 3/8 times 2/9. We don't need a common denominator when we're multiplying fractions. We're just going to multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators. So this is going to be 5 to the 6/72. And that probably could be reduced maybe by 3. So if I divide the top and bottom by 3, I get 2 on the top. And dividing the bottom by 3, 72 divided by 3 is 24. So 2 over 24, oh, it can be reduced even more. I could divide each of those by 2. So 5 to the 1/12. So taking each thing step by step and not getting overwhelmed with how crazy it looks with all those exponents. Number 3, so same with this one. There's a lot going on here. And on this problem, it's a select all that apply. They give you a bunch of choices, like 8 choices, and they ask you which ones are the same as this. So I'm just going to show you a couple different ways you can rewrite this, just to give you some ideas on how to answer that problem. So let's just look at the top for a second, the cube root. Since I have 2 things under the cube root, you could split those up. So the top could be like the cube root of 27 to the 1/3 times the cube root of 5. And I could just keep the bottom the same for right now. That's one way you could rewrite things differently. You could write this 3 to the 1/9. You could write that as a radical. So you could leave everything on the top the same and change this to the 9th root of 3. So that's another way you could write it. You could take this 27 to the 1/3 and recognize that that's the same as the cube root of 27, which is 3. So you could rewrite all of this as the cube root of 3 times 5 over 5 to the 3 to the 1/9. So there's a lot of things you can do with these problems. I'm just trying to give you a couple ideas because number 3 is a select all that apply. They give you a bunch of choices and they say which ones are the same. So that's how you do that problem. Number 4, simplifying with this set of exponents here. So we have 2 things inside the parentheses that are being multiplied, but I can't actually multiply them right now. So I'm going to move on to the exponent outside. And this is like the distributive property with exponents. That exponent is going to go to both of the things inside the exponent. So it's like this, 3 to the 4 times 4/5 times 5 to the 4/5. So I'm going to have to multiply 4 times 4/5. So if I put a denominator of 1 here, I get 16/5. So 3 to the 16/5 times 5 to the 4/5. So that's all I can do to simplify. Number 5, simplify again. So raising a power to a power, I'm going to multiply these two exponents. So I get 10 to the 3 times 1/9. And 3 times 1/9, so 3/1 times 1/9 would be 3/9 or 1/3. And another simplifying. So I have the same base, and those numbers are being multiplied, so I'm going to add the exponents. So this is 6 to the 5 plus 1/3. Now you might want to just write 6 to the 5 and 1/3. However, that's not the correct form. We don't write mixed numbers in our exponents. So this needs to be an improper fraction. So if you remember how to turn this into an improper fraction, you go 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. This is 16/3. So you have to have your exponents in improper fractions. So that's checkpoint 3. Hopefully you took these notes and you can use it on your checkpoint, which comes right after this video.